Welcome to FRCMedia News for Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. I'm Keith Tebow. The federal trial of former Mayor Jazio Correa has begun in Boston. The Fall River Police Department is facing some scrutiny over a Facebook post. The DEA is hosting a drug take-back event this Saturday, and Battleship Cove has a new exhibit. All this and more coming up. We start with an update on the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine here in Fall River. Currently, all those 16 and older are eligible to get vaccinated. Here in Fall River, over 30% of residents have received at least one dose at 27,293, with 20.3% or 18,191 residents being fully vaccinated. An update is expected later on Thursday. You can get the latest information on our webpage, frmedia.org/COVID vaccine. Mayor Paul Coogan says the vaccination numbers are encouraging, but there is room for improvement.
Again, we were always on the short end of the stick as far as vaccinations in Bristol County and getting vaccines down here. When you compare us to those other counties, as we have talked about in the past, Keith, we were always a few 100,000 vaccines below some of them, and I never understood why. We were always in the red. We were a high-risk district, and they still were not giving us vaccines. So I'm hoping that things change, and going forward, we can get a good load in here.
The city, in conjunction with FEMA, once again has some vaccine appointments available this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday vaccinations are available from noon to 7 p.m. at the Niagara Maplewood Senior Center on Tucker Street. For an appointment, visit cichealth.com/fallriver/Niagara. Saturday and Sunday vaccines will be available from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Fonseca School. Sign up at cichealth.com/fallriver/Fonseca. The state of Massachusetts has other options available for you to secure a COVID-19 vaccine. Register for an upcoming appointment at a mass vaccination site. Visit vaccinesignup.mass.gov. The closest mass vaccination site to Fall River is at the former Circuit City store in Dartmouth. Other than the mass vaccination site, you can set appointments at vaxfinder.mass.gov. Here are the locations in Fall River listed by the state that are also distributing the vaccine. There are 4 locations of CVS Pharmacy distributing the vaccine on President Avenue, Pleasant Street, William S. Kenning Boulevard, and North Main Street. You can go online or call 1-800-746-7287. 5 Walgreens locations across the city are offering the vaccine on Plymouth Avenue, North Main Street, Pleasant Street, Rhode Island Avenue, and South Main Street. Again, you can go online or call 1-800-925-4733. A new addition this week is Walsh Pharmacy on Rock Street. Give them a call directly at 508-812-7662. 2 Stop and Shop locations are available, the one on Rodman Street and Mariano Bishop Boulevard. Those appointments can only be made online. Also online only is vaccinations at Walmart on Quequechan Street. The City of Fall River is still organizing its regional clinic at Bristol Community College. Again, appointments can only be made online. Health First Family Care Center on Quarry Street also accepting appointments for vaccinations. You can call 774-627-1226. And finally, South Coast Health continues its vaccination clinic at the Liberal Club. Appointments can be made exclusively through the hospital's MyChart application. You can also get help with making an appointment by dialing 211. Get the latest updates on vaccine information and an updated listed sites on our website, frmedia.org/COVID vaccine. The trial of former Fall River Mayor Jazio Correa began this week in U.S. District Court in Boston. This first week is being spent in paneling a 14 to 16 person jury. The former mayor is charged of 24 counts of fraud, extortion, and bribery stemming from the creation of his Snow Owl app and the issuance of letters of support for city recreational marijuana vendors. Opening arguments in the case begin on Monday. Mayor Paul Coogan says the city received a black eye when the former mayor was first arrested, but now that focus has shifted.
We're trying to do the right thing for the city. We're trying to deal with our federal and state delegations, and I believe that we've rekindled those relationships, and people know that we call them up, and if we need support in an area or they can help us with something, they usually dive right into the battle with us. So that's what we need in Fall River. We need good working partnerships to turn the city around, and I think you lead by example. How I try to do my job every day and what I try to do, I want people to follow. The former mayor's problems look like they're moving towards some kind of a resolution. I'll say it 100 times. I don't wish bad on the guy. I think he may have to pay for legal mistakes he made. But the sooner we get this process wrapped up, the better the city's going to be. We don't need to talk about this. We don't need to be in the news about this. It's time for Fall River to get in the news for other things.
The Fall River Police Department became embroiled in a controversy on Wednesday over a post about George Floyd and Derek Chauvin on the department's Facebook page. An officer who has privileges on the official department page shared a post appearing to criticize Floyd's actions during the arrest that led up to his death while approving of Chauvin's courtroom demeanor. That post was soon deleted by the department. Both Mayor Paul Coogan and Police Chief Jeffrey Cardoza condemned the initial post, and an investigation into the matter is underway.
This unfortunate situation, which has put Fall River under the spotlight again, is a horrible mistake. I know that in my conversations with Chief Cardoza, he's extremely upset about it, as am I, and we're going to have to, take the appropriate steps, which our police contract allows us to do, and go forward with that. I just, I don't know this gentleman's background. I have no idea why anyone would make a mistake of posting something on the city website when they were trying to post something that they shouldn't even be posting on a personal website. So I'm saying it was a mistake, as you said, Keith. But why would you put that on a personal site? It's just not appropriate.
Meanwhile, Fall River and the rest of the country is still reacting to the guilty verdict this week against Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd. Dr. Daryl D.T. Henry, director of the TRIO program at Bristol Community College, says he feels a sense of joy for Floyd's family in getting justice in this case. He goes on to say, however, that the healing that should follow is just beginning.
It's definitely a first step in a long process. I think, if anything, it'll give us a sense of hope, give that community a sense of hope that we are making a turn in the right direction, from the criminal justice system to society, media coverage, and I believe that's what it has done. It won't fix everything, but it is, like you said, a great step in a first step in the right direction. I think we have to keep moving forward and continue the fight. I think if we just look at this incident and say, okay, all things are fixed, just like when President Barack Obama became the first Black president, we thought like all problems are fixed, now you can become president. No, the key is to keep going, keep fighting for justice, keep fighting for equality, keep learning, keep helping each other understand, and then we'll be able to get there, hopefully, in my lifetime. And it may not be in my lifetime.
The cost of trash and recycling was a topic of discussion during this week's City Council meeting. During an update at the Council's Finance Committee, Director of the Department of Community Maintenance, John Perry, indicated the cost of disposing of trash and recycling material may be upwards of $1 million over budget. The city is charged for disposal based on the amount of trash collected. Mr. Perry says the administration is looking at ways to reduce those costs.
In the absence of a revenue-generating stream that will help us cover our costs, we have to continue to try to reduce. Right. And in that vein, we've begun a public outreach program with my litter enforcement division, trying to educate people on recycling, drive down that contamination so we can save on that. As far as tonnages, In the absence of the programs that we had in the past, especially the pay-as-you-throw, I know it's very unpopular, but if you discuss it with anybody that's in the industry, it's the single most effective way to reduce your tonnage. These tonnages continue to rise, and as far as covering that cost until we figure out whether it be creative revenue-generating streams that we don't have yet, and or a way to reduce that tonnage, i.e. Eliminating certain factions, whether that be certain size houses or a certain faction of the business community. In order to reduce that tonnage, we are going to continue to supplement our trash disposal costs through the general fund.
The City Council is also looking at the elimination of single-use plastic shopping bags. The initiative was introduced 2 years ago and is once again before the Council's Ordinance Committee. Among those to speak in favor this week was Morton Middle School student Peyton Amaral, who helped spearhead a school project asking fellow students their thoughts about the ban.
As much as we'd love to end pollution in total, we can't in our short amount of time. So if we take this small step, it could lead to a huge leap in helping the environment. Look at all the other 141 cities and towns who have already banned the usage of single-use plastic bags in Massachusetts, such as Lynn and Newton. These cities are heading in the right direction, and we can follow. We, the youth of Fall River, want to stay here, but we can't stay in a city that is dirty.
The issue was forwarded to legal counsel for an opinion and the potential drafting of a plastic bag ban ordinance. The tourism and hospitality industries have been among the hardest hit during the pandemic. In her role as chair of the House Tourism, Arts, and Cultural Development Committee, State Representative Carol Fiola hopes to help bring them back.
The first thing we did in my committee, and along with the Senate chair, Senator Ed Kennedy, is we came up with an idea. I thought it would be really helpful to hear from the industry right at the beginning of the session. And so last week, we hosted an industry impact hearing and invited industry leaders that represented a variety of the tourism, arts, and cultural areas. We invited from the arts, the humanities, conventions, Massport, every kind of industry you could imagine. We had 5 panels of participants who really painted a grim picture of what their industry's been through and talked about some of the things that they're going to need to move forward.
Representative Fiola says when the pandemic hit, tourism and hospitality were the first to shut down and will likely be the last to recover.
The segments of this tourism, arts, and culture industry, like the music venues, like the wedding venues, and live entertainment, that are saying, "Hey, you're opening up a lot of the economy, this economy, but we're still left behind." And so we're working through some of those issues with how people respond to the live music, the wedding venues. They're very limited to the 100 people, regardless of how many people they can comfortably and safely and social distancely, if that's a word, fit in their venue. So we're working hard to communicate with the administration their concerns.
Representative Fiola says the state budget for the coming year will fully fund all cultural and tourism-related requests. She goes on to say that further growth opportunities in arts and tourism exist with the yet-to-be-allocated federal COVID stimulus funds.
We do know that around the second week of May, we'll be hearing exactly what we can and cannot use that money for. I think we're going to see a lot more flexibility. And I will tell you, in my role as chair of this committee, as is the role of any committee chair, you want to make sure that the areas that you have keen knowledge on and have needs are funded. And so we are going to come back to a committee which we formed in the House that just addresses this federal money. They're going to be charged with evaluating how we can spend that money. And we will be, I know I'll be looking for some funds from that federal relief for this tourism, arts, cultural development, and I'll add hospitality industry.
In regards to federal stimulus money headed to the South Coast, Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey gave members of the One South Coast Chamber an update during a virtual town hall meeting this week. The senator said along with money for a second round of the payroll protection program, additional dollars will be set aside for the hospitality industry.
For Massachusetts restaurants and bars, for South Coast restaurants and bars, that'll be hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to go to them, so that the business owners just don't get caught up under a growing pile of loan debt. These are just going to be grants, and hundreds of millions of dollars are going to them in the state of Massachusetts. And to further, put a point on it, minority owned businesses are going to be prioritized because they unfortunately often wound up at the back of the line in the Paycheck Protection program. So that's going to be something that is a part of this program. But I urge any of you who know any restaurants, any bars in the region to please apply, and they can call my office in order to get the help which they need. We'll take any case that you have directly to the Small Business Administration of Massachusetts to help get those people processed. The desperation is still out there, but the money is there as well. They're grants, not loans.
Senator Markey also said money will be earmarked for local entertainment venues.
And we added an additional $1.25 billion for theaters, museums, and other performance spaces throughout the pandemic. And again, down on the South Coast, it's a very culturally rich area. And if you know theaters or museums or other performance spaces that need help, please call us. We put the money in to help them to make it through to a point where people can be seated once again at these very important cultural centers on the South Coast.
The unemployment rate in Fall River dropped nearly 1 percentage point in the month of March. The jobless rate sits at 11%, down from 11.9% in February. Last March, the unemployment rate was 6.1%. Fall River had the highest jobless rate of the gateway cities in southeastern Massachusetts. The state's unemployment rate for March came in at 6.8%. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
A vacina chegou. A distribuição da vacina vai ser feita em fases. Em breve, todos terão a oportunidade de ser vacinados. De acordo com a CDC, apanhar a vacina ajuda a baixar o risco de contrair o Covid-19, assim como reduzir a gravidade do vírus se ficar doente. Também protege a sua família e a comunidade da infecção. Depois de receber a vacina, encorajamo-lo ao uso de máscara, a lavar as mãos e a praticar distanciamento social. A vacina é oferecida grátis para todos os residentes de Massachusetts. Marcações são exigidas. Saiba quando pode receber a vacina e faça uma marcação. Visite mass.gov/covidvaccine ou marque 211 no telefone. Proteja-se a si próprio e aos que estão à sua volta. Informe-se. Reserve a sua vaga e apanhe a injeção.
Welcome back. The Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, is hosting a series of drug take-back events across the United States. In Fall River, such a collection will be undertaken this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Blessed Trinity Church on Plymouth Avenue. Alyssa Jusome, Prevention Coordinator at STAR, says the collection allows for the proper disposal of prescription and other drugs.
In the Fall River site, it's going to be at Blessed Trinity Parish in Fall River. You'll come right into the parish, and there'll be a number of tables there with different resources, different people there handing out information materials. But there'll also be a table there with a DEA officer and a box. You bring your prescription medications. It can be unused, unwanted, expired, no questions asked. You bring it in, put it right in the box, and then the DEA officer at the end of the event will fold up the box and take it right to the incinerator to be properly disposed of. They happen to have 2 events every year. As we had mentioned in the beginning, it happens in April and October, but there's also places that you can go through to dispose of medication year round. Some of the local pharmacies do it. So check in with your local pharmacy and see if they have a disposal box that you can bring it to. And also some of the local police stations do it as well.
Ms. Jusome says her role will be to provide information and support for anyone seeking help in acquiring substance abuse treatment.
So as a prevention coordinator, what will happen is we'll go in and along with the DEA agent, I'll be sitting there and there'll be prevention materials, information for people of all ages to come, ask any questions for them, a loved one, a family member, anything regarding prevention, treatment, recovery, and we'll try to help the best we can, whatever that looks like for that person. So if you're just coming in looking for prevention materials, we can give that out to you. And if you're looking for anything with treatment and recovery, we can try to get you in contact with somebody who can help with that further.
The city of Fall River has received a state grant totaling close to $230,000 that will improve and expand access to city bikes and walking paths. Sarah Labossiere, co-coordinator of Mass in Motion Fall River, says the money will be used to create bike lanes along portions of Water Street, Milliken Boulevard, and Rodman Street. The project will also make improvements to pedestrian crossings on Pleasant Street at 8th Street, Pleasant Street at Quequechan Street, and South Main Street at Anawan Street.
We purpose to connect the waterfront area to the Quequechan River Rail Trail, and also going past the South Main Street commercial area and Columbia Street commercial area, and trying to encourage people to travel by walking and by bicycle or rolling through those areas along that. So we will see some bicycle lane striping along that area. Some areas that have bicycle lanes will also have flex posts to make sure that bicyclists along those lanes are protected from the motorists. There will be some improved crossing areas, crosswalks painted and repainted, some flashing beacons at some areas that link to this route along Pleasant Street and along South Main Street. And then also, along with those crossing areas, we wanted to improve the ADA compliance to make the sidewalks and crossing areas handicap accessible and able for people with disabilities and motor impairments and visual impairments to more easily cross and safely cross these intersections.
Ms. Labossiere says the project will be completed by late spring and provide enhanced economic development and recreational benefits to the community.
It's very important to make these connections because, people, we don't want to just create these areas isolated areas where people park and then come in and enjoy a place. We want them to connect them, go from one area to the next, and to see the connections between their residences, between the commercial areas and the recreation areas, and see that we would like Fall River to be a more walk-friendly and bike-friendly community.
Battleship Cove last week unveiled its new exhibit, a display of remnants of PT-59, a patrol torpedo boat commanded by former President John F. Kennedy during World War II. During a ceremony unveiling the exhibit, Battleship Cove Chief Operating Officer Christopher Nardi said portions of the main hatchway were discovered by the Metropolitan Transportation Authority in New York City as it was dredging the Harlem River last year, and the remnants were donated to the museum.
So the pieces were submerged for close to 50 years. They got infiltrated with chlorides, being in salt water. When chlorides dry, if we had left this exposed to plain air, the chlorides would have dried out, expanded, and destroyed what's remaining of the pieces here. So that's why they're submerged. But once the chlorides are filtered out, we'll infiltrate we'll put a solution there of what's called PEG, which is a wax-like substance that will resupport the structure and it'll be able to stand on its own. So our plans are to get this out of the tank at some point and have it as a standalone exhibit between her two sisters.
On hand for the ceremony was former congressman and great-nephew of the former president, Joseph Kennedy. He said there is no greater place for the remains of the boat than the Fall River World War II Memorial.
Books have been written about how formative my great-uncle's time in the Navy was to him, how much it mattered for him to serve. how much he experienced in those years, and how they would change him forever. How there were a few places where he felt more alive and at peace and at purpose than being at sea and fighting for the country that he loved. He was a hero. But his story, that part of his story, is not that exceptional, not here. It's the same devotion that was carried by any brave man or woman who gives everything of themselves so the rest of us can live safe and free. So more than John Fitzgerald Kennedy, more than any one man or woman or moment or act of heroism, may the remains of the vessel that we come here today to celebrate, may they continue a beautiful tribute that this place pays homage to every day, to all those who don a uniform in our defense.
And finally, today is Earth Day, but the city of Fall River is planning a citywide cleanup and a special family outdoor movie this Saturday.
At 10 o'clock, we'll be down here in the parking lot out next to the post office, divvying up sections of the city and where we're going to go. We're going to work for a couple hours and just, if you want to pick your street, you want to pick a neighborhood, that's fine. We'll work with you, leave the bags out, we'll pick them up. And then we're going to do that cleanup for a couple hours. Then at night, we have about 50 or 60 tickets left, I was told, for the Secret Life of Pets at Durfee. It's a drive-in. The gates are going to open at 6:30. We're going to have some alpacas there. We're going to have a couple of other exhibitors, the Children's Museum and Forever Paws, I think, in the Faxon Center, maybe bringing some pets. So we're going to have a little bit of activities for the kids. And again, it's supposed to be in the mid-60s, so we'd love to see you come on down and get out of the house for a little while and enjoy some safe outdoor entertainment.
We'll wrap up FRC Media News after this.
The COVID-19 vaccine is here. The distribution of the vaccine is taking place in phases. Soon everyone will have the opportunity to get vaccinated.
According to the CDC, getting the vaccine helps lower the risk of contracting COVID-19, along with reducing the severity of the virus if you get sick.
It also protects your family and the community from infection.
After receiving the vaccine, we encourage you to continue to wear masks, wash your hands, and practice social distancing.
The vaccine is provided free of charge for all Massachusetts residents. Appointments are required.
Find out more about when you can receive the vaccine and schedule an appointment. Visit mass.gov/COVID vaccine or by calling 211.
Protect yourself and those around you.
Stay informed.
Secure your spot and get your shot.
Get your shot.
Get your shot.
Get your shot. Get your shot.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Check out our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and information, as well as updates on the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine here in Fall River. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.